another chapter from class 6 in history. That is our chapter number 5, Kingdoms, Kings and an Early Republic. Students, if we talk about the representation or nowadays, but we will observe that India is a democratic country and it is run by government or run by the representatives. Representatives are the people who are, or government is the people or group of people who are chosen by people through votes. So we will study in this chapter in earlier times when voting system was not there, who was responsible for governing the various kingdoms. So let's see how some men became rulers. Choosing leaders or rulers by voting is something that has become very common during the last 50 years. So the concept of voting arises during the last 50 years. So what was there? Who was responsible for governing the whole era? Who was responsible for controlling all people before the concept of voting? How did men become rulers in the past? Who was ruler? Who was considered as ruler in past? We are going to study about that. Some of the Rajas we read about in the chapter number 4 were probably chosen by the Jana, the people. Earlier, people were called as Jana. Who were called as Jana? People were called as Jana, and these people choose their Raja. So Raja was responsible for governing or for controlling the people of the empire. Around 3000 years ago, we found some changes that were taking place in the ways in which Rajas were chosen. Some men now became recognized as Rajas by performing very big sacrifices. Now the question is it the scenario that people were responsible for choosing their Raja? That is fine. So was it the scenario that any person would be taken and declared as Raja? No, that was not the scenario. The scenario is the Raja or the person who want to be Raja needed to perform certain sacrifices, and after performing certain sacrifices, people accept that person as Raja. For example, the Ashwamedha or horse sacrifice, one of such ritual. Now what is Ashwamedha? I will give you an example related to this. Just listen here. Now what is Ashwamedha? Listen here. A horse was let loose to wander. Wander means to move freely, and it was guarded by the Raja's men. Raja used to release one horse, and that horse was guarded by Raja's men. All the areas in which that horse wandered or moved away and no person from any kingdom stopped that horse, then it was believed that from all the areas from where that horse was passed, the people of that area were ready to practice or to say that the person of whose that horse belongs to, they were ready to adapt that person as the Raja. Now I was giving example to you. During lockdown period also, students, you might have watched Ramayana. If you watched Ramayana, you have seen that Ram did Ashwamedh Yagna, in which what he did, he just left one of the horse that was wandering all the kingdoms, and slowly all the people from all the places were ready to accept Ram as their king. Who stopped Ram's horse? Ram's own son. And who were they? Love and Kush. They stopped Ram's horse. And after that particular scenario, ritual got completed, Ram was declared as Raja. That was the concept that was mentioned here. This was the sacrifice that a particular person need to perform if he wants to be accepted as an Raja. So Raja just let out the horse to run away. And chariot, who is the chariot? Chariot is the person who is riding on the horse or the member of the Raja. So after performing such sacrifice, wandering of the horse, if nobody stops that Raja, that person, horse in any of the place, he was accepted as Raja for the whole empire. And when As I give you the example of Sri Ram also, when that particular person was accepted as Raja, a particular religious ceremony took place where Raja invited other kings from other kingdoms also, and other persons also, priests were also you can say called, and auspicious occasion took place, and all these persons who were coming there to give warm wishes to the king on this occasion, they bought gifts for the Raja. So what is said there? It is said there the Raja was a central figure in these rituals. Obviously Raja was kept in between and he was a central figure. He often had a special seat or a throne of tiger skin. The throne on which the king used to sit was made up of tiger skin. His charioteer, I already told you who was charioteer. Charioteer was horse rider, the person who was riding the horse from all the places from where the horse was wandering. Who was his companion in the battle, fled and witnessed his exploits and explained the story of his glory. At that occasion, chariots explained that how the king was accepted by all the people in the society and no one stopped the horse in any of the kingdom. His relatives and especially sons performed a variety of rituals. The other Rajas were simply spectators. Spectators, you can say, they were only visiting the scenario, they have no other role, and watched the performance of the sacrifice. Priests performed rituals. Priests performed various auspicious rituals in which one was sprinkling of sacred water. Sacred water means pure water. Like if we take the example of in India, Ganga water is treated as sacred water. So that pure water, that sacred water during this occasion was sprinkled on the Raja by the priest. Then is the ordinary people, the Vish, the Vaishya, all these persons who were invited to this occasion, they all bring gifts for the Raja. However, some people such as those who were regarded as Shudras. Now who were Shudras? All the low caste people who used to do low caste work like sweeping, etc. They were cast as Shudras. And the priest also excluded from the rituals. What does that mean? Only the high class people, the Raja, their family members, priests and the Rajas of other kingdoms, they were allowed to be the part of this auspicious occasion. But all the Shudras, who were Shudras? The low caste people, they were not allowed to be the part of this occasion. And then is students, Varna. Student, what we can say? We can say that we have four Veds. In the last chapter we have studied regarding this, and these are Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Adhar Ved and Sam Ved. So what said? That it is said here that these Veds were composed by the priest or the knowledgeable peoples, and they described how rituals to be performed. How these Veds describe how various rituals needed to be performed, how they needed to be ruled or captured in the society. There were several different groups in the society at this time. I already told you, give you the example of Shudras in last time. So people belongs to different categories. Basically we can say people were classified on the basis of their job or on the basis of their occupation. And that system was called as Varna system. That system was called as Varna system. As I already told you, you can see here, different groups were there in the society. Priests, warriors, farmers, herders, traders, craft persons, etc. Others group is also there which involve herders, craft person, fishing for, hunters, gatherers, etc. The first group belongs to the category of rich people and the second group belongs to the category of poor people. Moreover, we used to classify peoples into four groups, into four categories, and these four groups are called as Varnas. So according to Varna or under Varna, we used to classify people under four different groups. Now what are these? First one is Brahmins. Now who were Brahmins? Brahmins were those people who used to give teachings to the people, who used to read the Vedas, who perform the sacrifices and receive the gifts. They are high class people. And the second type of peoples are the rulers. Rulers, basically they are called as warriors who used to do fighting. They are considered under Kshatriya. They used to protect the people. Then third one is your Vaishyas. They were expected to be farmers, herders and traders. Both the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas could not perform sacrifices. Sacrifices could be performed only by Brahmins, not by Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. And the last one is your Shudras that I already told you. They belongs to low caste people. And usually at that time women were also considered as Shudra because they do low caste work and they were also not allowed to do sacrifices, and at that moment untouchables were also considered under the category of Shudras. Moving ahead students, Janapadas. Padas means path, way, and Jana means people. People plus path, the way, the path that peoples are following. We are going to study about that, Janapadas. The Rajas who performed big sacrifices were recognized as Rajas of Janapadas rather than Janas. A particular person who is controlling a small empire was ruling limited number of people, limited number of Jans. When a particular person captured a large area, then he was considered as Janapadas because he was capturing a large area under him. The word Janapada means the land where the Jana set its foods. Jana means people, where people set its food and settled down. Some important Janapadas are shown on map 4, page number 49 that we will see. Now see here students, archaeologists have excavated a number of settlements in these Janapadas such as Purana Kila in Delhi, Hastinapur near Meerut, then is your Antraji Khera near Itaha, which is there in Uttar Pradesh, and etc. They found that the people lived in huts and kept cattle as well as other animals. Have you ever thought students about this thing, that how we come to know about this thing, that what people used to eat in earlier times, how they used to spend their lives? There are various things that are discovered by our archaeologists which helps us to know how was the life of people in earlier times, and that were in the form of that they were residing in huts, what they were eating. They were eating crops like rice, wheat, barley, pulses, mustard, etc. Thereafter students, they made earthen pots. Yes, earthen pot was having a very significant role in earlier times. Basically, earthen pots were used as storehouse by the people. People used to store precious things in earthen pots, and precious things as well as non-precious things also, like gold, silver and other ornaments, and sometimes they used to store wheat, pulses or other things also. Some of these were grey in color, others were red. One special type of poetry found at these sites is known as painted grey work. As in the obvious from the name, these grey pots had painted designs, usually simple lines and geometric patterns, and different other pots have different geometric patterns. The next chapter is Mahajanapadas. We studied about Janapadas. Jana means people, Padas means path. The path that peoples were following. Or Janapada means when a king is capturing a large area under him. Mahajanapadas means very large territories, very large empire or very large kingdom. As at the starting of the chapter I give you example regarding Ram. He was the king of Mahajanapada because very large territory was under him. About 2500 years ago, some Janapadas became more important than others. Definitely some Janapadas were important over others and were known as Mahajanapadas. Some of these were shown on the map. You can see here in this map. Many of these were fortified. You can see here. Now what do you mean by fortified and why Mahajanapadas were fortified? Being fortified means establishment of various fort in the kingdom. Now why these Mahajanapadas have fort in them? What is the reason behind them? The reason behind them because the king felt that as the empire is big, as the territory is big, they may suppose attack from some other king. So in order to protect themselves from other king or from other warriors, they used to develop forts or they used to adopt fortified settlements. And this means that huge walls of wood, brick and stone were built around them. Forts were probably built, as I already told you, because people were afraid of attacks from other kings, because they are afraid that might other king can attack them and needed protection. It is also likely that some rulers wanted, see, first thing is that forts were built in order to protect themselves from other kings, and second thing is forts were the source of prestige or glory for the king also, because in the establishment of fort huge expenditure is done, so that is the symbol of the prestige for the king also. So that is was established or mentioned here. It is also like that some rulers wanted to show how rich or powerful they were by building really large, tall and impressive walls around the cities. They want to show their impression. Also in this way, the land and the people living inside the fortified area could be controlled more easily by the king. And all the people who are living under fortified area, it would become easy for the king to capture those people. Buildings such as huge walls required a great deal of planning. Yes, building large buildings required great planning, because building a large building, it requires lot of expenditure, so proper planning is required, because there needs to be arrangement of lakhs of bricks and stones, and thereafter thousands of men, women, children, workers are required. What does that mean? If the king want to build up a large building like temple, mosque, etc., then more resources are required by the king. Thereafter, students, the new Rajas now began maintaining armies. New Rajas started maintaining their army, that I already told you why. Because they feared that if any other Raja is going to attack them, how they are going to fight with that particular Raja. Soldiers were paid regular salaries and maintained by king throughout the year. They were paid regular salaries. Some payments were probably made using punch-marked coins. The payment they were made were given in the form of coins, and they were punch-marked. Punch-marked means the king's stamp is there on that particular coins. We will read about these type of coins in our chapter number 8. So that's it for the day, students. We will discuss about rest of our topic in our next video. Thank you, students.